Cute and cuddly, they're not. But as you're about to discover, eels are endlessly fascinating creatures. And Conor Knighton tells us, possessed of one of nature's great unsolved mysteries.
They come to America in search of a fresh start and fresh water. Traveling up our rivers to places like Poughkeepsie, New York, they live largely out of sight. But as I'm about to discover, this shallow stream is teeming with eels.
So there are eels here right now under these rocks. And once we put on the electricity, we'll start to see them.
Biologist Sarah Mount's backpack puts out a small electric current
Ready? Backpack on.
that stuns the elusive eels up to the surface.
Oh, there's one. There's one.
Yep.
Coming down.
Did I get it?
Lift
If
your
I
head
got
up.
it, that's a pure accident.
You got it!
What?
You got it first try!
I think I was more shocked than the eel. Before long, we found dozens of these creatures that are often perceived as creepy.
You hold the little baby glass eel in your hand, you realize that traveled 1,000 miles to be here in the city of Poughkeepsie, and that ooh turns into ooh, and the magic just happens.
Chris Bowser is the estuary educator for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, where he shares his passion for the underappreciated eel.
It's one of those things, once you get a hold of eels, you can't let go. Look at this beauty.
Oh, goodness.
Of course, getting a hold of an eel is easier said than done.
Put that there. Oh,
Go
shoot.
on, come back,
there goes the eel.
Oh no, come back, come back.
Eel on the deck. Not easy, is it?
This slippery little guy, or gal, you can't really tell without cutting one open, is what's known as a yellow eel, one of 6 distinct forms American eels take on during their life cycle. Each stage looks so different, it took a long time for scientists to realize they were all actually the same animal, transforming over its lifetime to survive in both saltwater and freshwater. But the biggest eel mystery has never been solved.
We don't know for sure exactly where and how eels mate.
Eel reproduction has fascinated scientists for millennia. Aristotle thought that European eels were formed spontaneously out of mud. Later theories were just as outlandish.
There's an incredible story from like relatively late, like 19th century. This sort of local trained botanist thought that eels basically grew and hatched out of the butts of large beetles. And they wrote a whole like paper on it. It's like, wait, what?
To this day, nobody has ever seen American or European eels mate in the wild. But back in the early 1900s, Danish scientist Johannes Schmidt decided to hunt for the breeding grounds by spending years sailing around the Atlantic searching for smaller and smaller baby eels. The tiniest ones he ever found were in a place legendary for getting lost, the middle of the Bermuda Triangle.
Somewhere out here, as far as we know, there's eels making babies.
As far as we know, but I mean, you can see the challenges of the conditions.
Chris Fluke works for the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences. This choppy body of water, the Sargasso Sea, is believed to be where freshwater eels from America and Europe are born, and where, decades later, they return to give birth and die.
It's a staggering story of sort of resilience and commitment to surviving, you know?
It's staggering and perplexing. It's not like the eels are headed to Bermuda to find a mate. Male and female eels already live together in freshwater streams.
Why are they going there to do it? These are questions we just don't know.
I mean, maybe you gotta, take her out on a date or something. You gotta romance a little bit.
Maybe the Sargasso Sea nightclub. Who knows,
Yeah,
right?
right?
We don't know, right?
There must just be something special about this place. American and European eels are different species, but they both honeymoon off the Bermuda coast.
We don't know why they come here. Do we have any sense of the how? Is there some mechanism, some internal GPS they have that lets them know to come back?
We don't know whether it's sort of an internal GPS, whether it's magnetic, whether it's salinity, we just don't know some of these questions.
But we may be closer to knowing more. As our own GPS trackers and technologies get smaller and sturdier, scientists will be able to follow groups of eels to the proverbial motherland. It's a process that's already yielding some results.
I think, yeah, we will find this one day, but when? Everybody sort of wants to find this. I mean, it's such a magical thing.
There's been a recent explosion of interest in the enigmatic eel. In 2020, an English translation of Swedish author Patrick Svensson's The Book of Eels became a bestseller.
We still don't know where eels come from, or more.
Last year, this viral TikTok racked up millions of views.
This tortures me. I lie awake at night thinking about this. I wake up in the morning, first thing I think about, before I even open my eyes, where the do eels come from, okay?
One day soon, the mystery may finally be solved. But for eel enthusiast Chris Bowser, there's really no rush.
I strongly do not need to know a definitive answer. If anything, I'm very happy to not have those answers. I like that there are some gray areas out there in science. The real reason that I'm fascinated by eels is not just because of the eel, it's because of the ability of that animal to fascinate others.